This month I want to start doing monthly wrap-ups and TBRs of the books that I'm reading. So I'm going to start for this month. I'm going to be looking at my phone. So if you're wondering what I'm looking at, this is my reading app that I use. It's called I Read It Now, and that's what I use to keep track of the books I read, because I have a tendency not to hold on to the books and to either return them to the library or pass them on. So I don't generally remember the books that I read, but I keep them on my phone so I can look back. So this month I had a pretty good reading month. We got out of school early, so I've read 4 books already this month. As I'm recording this, it is still a couple days left in June, so I still got a couple books. Well, actually one book that I want to squeeze in before the end of the month, but I'll talk about that when I get there. I currently read 4 books. Some of them you probably heard of if you follow anybody else on BookTube. The first book is A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. I have fallen in love with Sarah J. Maas because ever since I read the Throne of Glass series, I love strong female characters in books. It's not so much that they're YA, but I love that they just take care of business. They don't need anybody else to help them. And I have been on an Assassins kick ever since that series. So when I heard that she was coming out with a new book, I was super excited. This series was different than the Throne of Glass series, but in other ways it wasn't. It still had the very strong female character, and everybody said it was supposed to be like a retelling of Beauty and the Beast, which I didn't see too much of that, not at all. So I went on Amazon, and they were saying that it was like a retelling of the story Tamlin, which I've never heard of either. So I'm going to look into that and see if maybe that's something I want to read in the future, or at least know the background of that story. But the Court of Thorns and Roses was really good. I enjoyed the writing style. It moved quickly, and I'm very excited to read the books coming up with Feyre and Tamlin. The second book I read was End of Days by Susan E. I wish I could have said I loved this book as much as I loved Sarah J. Maas's book. I don't know if I read the other 2 books in the series with Susan E. with Penryn and Penryn. I read those ones last year, and it just, I don't know if it's because I waited too long. You know, it was a big gap in between reading those and reading this final book. So, I mean, by the time I finally got into the characters again in this book, it was already halfway through the book, and I was kind of like, But, I mean, I'm glad I finished the series. Maybe you guys had a different experience with it, but for me, And then my third book, An Ember in the Ashes by Sabaa Tahir. It's an excellent book. It's set in a Roman Empire-like environment. It's there's 2 factions, the Scholars and the Martial Empire. The Martial Empire took over the Scholars at some point in history, and ever since the Scholars have been trying to take back power. And it's about this girl whose brother is captured for spying on the Marshals, and he's being held in jail, and she fears he'll be killed, and he's her only family that she has left. So she goes undercover into the Martial Empire to try and save him. It's an excellent book. Another one of those where it's different than Sarah J. Maas, because in Sarah J. Maas, the girls have like a self-awareness that they're strong and confident, and in this one she doesn't realize that she has it in her to be strong and confident and make it through this. So I love the first book, and I can't wait to continue the story in the next one. And the ending of the book was, you're just going to be shocked. You're going to be like, wait, where's the rest of the book? And that's where I'm at now, where I looked it up afterwards to see, what the release date is of the second book, and you're like, oh my God, I really have to wait that long. So that was an excellent book, and I can't wait to read her other books. Um, and then the book that I just finished reading is a nonfiction book. I still have it. It's a library book. I haven't given it back yet. It's Mark Bittman, A Bone to Pick. And every people who know me know that I love to garden. I love food. I like the story behind food. I've read some of his other books, especially Food Matters, and he just does a lot of writing about food policies and GMOs and the battle between organic and big food companies. And this is his latest book, and it's a compilation of his column that he writes for the New York Times. So it's just a bunch of the probably close to 100 of his columns and just divided up into different themes. So that was very interesting. Some of it was, if you are into this type of thing, you know what the issues are behind big food companies and the who makes the food policies. But I did come away with some tidbits of information that I didn't know already about. One being that I didn't realize that there are two kinds of minimum wage for workers. There's you always hear about minimum wage. Oh, minimum wage for workers is going up. It's $9, but there's actually another minimum wage, and that's for minimum wage of workers who are tipped. And I learned through this book that in some states, the minimum wage of workers who are tipped is a little over $2. And I was just shocked, and that's something you should look into if to check out what are the wages for workers in the state where you live. A few of them, most of them are down south where, the minimum wage for the workers who are tipped is very, very low. So I found that very interesting. Okay. Oh, and I have one more. Like I was saying before, that I have a few days left in June, and I started Ernest Hemingway's The Old Man and the Sea. Now, I have decided that this summer I would focus on reading more classic literature. And this is one of those books that, people always talk about, and I'm like, I've never read it. I read a lot of classic literature in high school and in college, and I'm proud of that I actually did the reading. When teachers assigned us, read Romeo and Juliet, I actually read Romeo and Juliet. I didn't go and run to get Cliff Notes. I bought the Cliff Notes so that I could read Romeo and Juliet and read them together and figure out what they were trying to say. But, I'm proud of the fact that I've read a lot of classical books. I by no means is going to say that I know I've read all the classic books and I always know what, the references are in language, because so much of what we say comes from classic literature and we don't realize it. So this was a book that I saw in the library. I was like, okay, it's like a couple, it's a little over 100 pages. I can read this book. So I have a couple days left in June. I'm already 32 pages into it, and I can finish this book probably in a day. So I'm definitely going to finish this, so I'll add this to next month's monthly reads. Okay, so now on to the books that I'm going to read this coming month. I'm going to be reading The Crimson Crown. This is the last book in the Seven Realms series by Cinda Williams-Chima. I read the other books in the series over the winter, loved them, so I'm going to finish up the series this month. The next book I'm going to read is this book that my sister saw in the library. I don't know if I should be insulted that she thought of me when she heard this, but it's called They Know Everything About You, How Data Collecting Corporations and Snooping Government Agencies Are Destroying Democracy, by Robert Scheer. I don't know if I'm going to read the whole thing or read bits and pieces of it. It's something that interests me. I'm sure that, it's not a big, aha, that, the government, knows all this stuff about us because we put out so much of our lives out onto the internet. But, it's something that I'm interested in, and I may learn something. And then going along with my hopes for reading more classic literature this summer, I picked up two books that I hear a lot about, that other people have read, when they were younger, but I've never had the opportunity to read them. So I picked up Little Women and Anne of Green Gables. Now, I don't know which one I'm going to read. I kind of want to read Anne of Green Gables just for the fact that it's not as thick. But I don't know. What do you guys think? Have you read either of these, and which one do you think I may like better? It's not. I'm not super duper, concerned that the fact that it's thick, because I think if I read a little bit every day, I would get through it quickly. But do you think it's something that I would enjoy? So let me know in the comments down below if you have any suggestions, which one I should read first. Should I even bother reading these? And then any books you think that I should pick up for the coming month. And please remember to comment and subscribe down below. Still there?